The city of Richmond becoming a prime target for gun violence.
Richmond.
The city of Richmond was known as one of the most dangerous cities in the Bay Area, if not the country.
And this is the For Our Future Podcast. Let's keep Richmond moving forward.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the FOF Podcast. Tonight, we're talking about financial literacy and so much more than that. But as always, as I like to do, is introduce my comrades behind the mic. First, let me introduce myself, all right? So I'm Jay, a.k.a. Johnny Longdays. I like that you like that. That handsome devil over there, I call him Anselmo Ramirez. How you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing well. I'm really excited to have this conversation. It's one of my favorite topics. And I'm just really excited to dig into this.
Yes, a lot to dig into.
Yes.
Definitely a lot to dig into. And as always, I have with us the lovely Deanna.
Hi, everybody. We have a really good episode in for today. We're having a good day. You know, stimulus checks just hit. St. Patrick's Day is also one of my best friend's birthdays. So happy birthday to her.
Hey, happy birthday to her.
Shout out to her. So good day so far. Yeah.
Okay, and before I introduce our guest, I'm going to hold you guys into suspense right now. Could I get on the camera real quick, Leslie? Thank you. So, now, Anselmo, as always, has a bunch of community news that we love to share beforehand. So we like to share positive news always. You get enough of negative news on CBS and CNN. So here on FF Podcast, we like to spread the positive vibes. So Anselmo, please, do you mind giving us some good positive news from the community?
Most definitely. First, I'm going to give a little recap. We did have our cleanup over the weekend, and it was a huge success.
Yes.
Diana was there, Jay was there. We picked up over 25 bags of trash. This was done in collaboration with SOS Richmond, so shout them out. They always come out, and we really did a great job. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back.
You should. Well deserved. Well deserved.
Yeah, and then there was another event, Urban Tilt, our fiscal sponsor. They had a tree giveaway. They gave out 200 fruit-bearing trees, or soon-to-be fruit-bearing trees.
Yeah.
So that's another beautiful thing happening in the community. I will keep it short and brief, but that's about it.
Yeah, I did see that from Urban Tilt. I forgot to tell my grandma. My grandma's been wanting a plum tree since forever.
She missed out.
Yeah, so that was Grandma. I know you're not watching this, but stop, that counts. My bad. Sorry. She's been wanting that plum tree since forever. She's been asking my mom, but we missed out there. What are you gonna do? Okay, suspense done with here. Once again, we're talking about financial literacy. Beyond that, we're gonna be talking about a bunch of stuff when it comes to financial literacy, not just the surface stuff. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our special guest for tonight, we have Mr. Robert Johnson. Robert, how you doing?
Feeling good, guys. How's everybody feeling? Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. I think we're all feeling pretty well. I think I'm doing pretty good myself.
I would like to say real quick, since we gave a shout out to my two friends whose birthdays are today also. So
Nice. Popular
Okay.
day.
there you go. So I just want to give a shout out to my two best friends. Wish you guys a blessed, happy birthday, guys. Love you guys and miss you guys.
What are their names?
Damus and Tia.
All right.
You mentioned you were from the East Coast. Are they out there or?
Yeah, actually, my best friend Damus, he's in Baltimore, Maryland. We actually went to college together, and she's like my sister Tia. She's actually living in Colorado.
Cool.
But she's from Baltimore, so I met her in Baltimore.
So, Robert, before we dive in, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background and all that good stuff?
Sure. So I was born and raised on the East Coast, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Die-hard Steeler fans, never gonna change.
Oh
no! Most winningest franchise. Don't hate.
That's true.
Then I moved to Baltimore, Maryland, where I got my degree in international finance and economics. economics at Morgan State University at my HBCU. So shout out to all my Bears and my alumni. And from there, I actually worked for Wachovia Securities, which is now Wells Fargo, doing operations for the trading floor. And then from there, I went to go work for UBS Financial Services for our ultra high net worth clients with the financial advisors as a relationship manager and doing asset allocation and investment strategies. So learned a lot, had a lot of great teachers. And then I took some time away, moved to Miami, where I got my MBA from Florida International University. So after I got my MBA, I spent a little time away. You just work so much for so long, you need a little vacation. I can't think of a better place to spend some days off to relax than in Miami. And then I moved out to California, where I went to work for Morgan Stanley for a little bit, and then Union Bank. And then as of last year, I left everything to start my own investment firm, where I do financial literacy and education and financial planning.
It's a lot. It's a full life.
No, so just so the viewers know, look, we have a legit asset here to really ask your questions. Let us know what questions you have. We may not be able to get to all of them. We have a long list of questions we want to ask this man and pick his brain. But just know this is a credible source, so please ask away.
Definitely. So, someone, did you want to start off the conversation? Maybe move some of your questions that you thought of that you want to hit Robert with?
Before we even dig into this, I know I met or found out about Robert through CoBiz. They're doing a basically like financial money mindset, financial literacy workshop series there at CoBiz, and we've been working with CoBiz a little bit in the past. So we actually were hosting our life skills classes there in the past, and so I saw a video with Robert and Christina, I believe, from CoBiz, and we were like, we have to get him on for the show. So thankfully, he obliged and agreed to be here. So man, that's the little backstory, and that's just one way that it shows like how the community really is like tight knit and comes together, which I love.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate when you guys reached out to me about it because, like I said, I had the partnership with CoBiz. I became their wealth ambassador. And we really trying to think of a way to give back to the community. And initially the notion was to just do financial literacy. And I said, well, the problem isn't just financial literacy. It starts with the mindset about money. And so the notion was to do a 3-month series with CoBiz where we just start shifting people's mindset from lack to abundance for the first month in March. And then in April, it's about the habits, creating good, healthy money habits so that you can sustain your savings and sustain money. And then finally, in May, is really digging into the nuts and bolts about money. So I really wanted to structure the program for the community to really shift the mindset about money and let you guys understand that there's more to just, spending, and saving. It's a mindset. It's about energy. It's about what you're doing with that. And so I want to make sure that we built those foundations and building blocks for people.
Is the series that you're referring to there at CoBiz, there was a series that I saw here that you had on your actual page. What was the series called?
The Money Mindset series.
There we go. That's the one. Yeah.
So it's the Money Mindset series, and then because April is Financial Literacy Month, I'm doing a lot of programs for the community. And so stay tuned. We have one we'll be doing, I believe it's April 17th, we're going live. So for high school kids, we're doing high school literacy. So every Saturday, it'll be free. And we're just teaching for 30, 45 minutes, not very long, because I know kids don't have a long attention span, but just giving you nuts and bolts about money, credit, debt, budgeting, student loans, getting ready to, homes, credit reports. And then at the end of the series, we will actually bundle it up. So if you missed one or missed something, you can actually purchase the whole series. But if you come on live, it'll be free for you. And then we're going to have a women's wealth series. So we're going to, no matter where you're at in your life, if you're married, single, about to retire, corporate woman, we want to show you and teach you about how to utilize money and what to do with your money at the phases in your life so that, you won't get caught unprotected or unaware. Because I am aware that of all the demographics, women are the least educated about money just because of our society, to be sad. I mean, we have that stigma and we don't educate women about money, and then some women just feel because they got married or the case may be, they're not fully engaged about money. But as a married man, let me tell you, my wife runs the finances. I don't know where things go. Money comes in, she pays the bills. She tells me where things have to go. So I have no idea where She could be laundering money for all I know. I don't even care. But I know she says she needs money. She says you got to pay the bills. And, I mean, women actually take care of the households and hold it down. So, I mean, I just want to make sure that women are fully educated on money and what to do with it.
Yeah, that's the trust right there. Yeah, because they know, how much groceries is or how much, daycare is, whatever the case is. So that's nice. Yeah.
So I'm going to give you a little homework, Robert, if that's okay. Can you please send links after the show so that we can include them in the bio to this show and people could find all the links and find all the stuff about what's going on?
Oh, absolutely. I'd be more than happy to share all the links to make sure people can just tune in. And you have my tags for social media, my website. And so I definitely want to make sure that the community can find ways to get in contact with me.
Perfect. So, man, I'm ready to jump into the nuts and bolts a little bit, so to speak.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So, as some of us know here, some of us may not know, this is St. Patrick's Day, but it also is another big day, those stimmy checks.
Right.
Might hit. So I know a few people who are checking their little apps regularly, like, it ain't hit. Did you get yours? It hasn't hit. Did you get yours? I know a couple people that's been doing that. I don't know what you guys are doing, but I'm not gonna say that it was me. But look, the main point is people have a little bit of cash in their accounts, possibly, and so we want to ask a financial advisor what are some things that they can do so that money just doesn't go to waste, because it's easy. It's very easy to just spend the quick $1,400, $2,800, whatever amount that you actually received or will receive, like this, right? Especially if you don't have a steady stream of income. So I wanted to ask Robert and see what suggestions he had on some things people can do at home to make that money last.
Yeah, because I was going to go to Vegas, Robert. I
always say bet on black.
Okay.
You'd be fine. Just bet on black. If you just make sure if you know how to roll dice, just remember your days from Monopoly. Just making sure you can roll the dice properly and land on the popper. You need a 3. Just make sure you know how to. But
see, that's a good rule of thumb right there. I didn't know that.
But no, I mean, outside of, the simple things, first and foremost, look, I know times are hard. So if you have bills to pay, pay your bills.
Yes.
Do not go out and buy some new clothes. Do not go out and do something stupid. First and foremost, pay your bills. All right? Let's be responsible. So I feel like I shouldn't have to say that to some people, but I'm going to say it. Just pay your bills first and then enjoy what's left over. So ignoring paying your bills, take an inventory, right? Look at what's going on. If you have some credit cards that are a little high, pay down the higher credit cards with the higher interest rate. If your credit cards and your bills have been good, phenomenal, then look at your savings, right? Because if you were one of those people hoping and begging for a stimulus check, then I think it's safe to say your savings wasn't where it needed to be, right? So first and foremost, make sure you're putting your money into a savings. And when I look at your savings, what I mean by that too is not just a savings account. Put it someplace where a money market account where you can get better interest returns. Don't put it as something that can lock it up for 6 months or a year. Put it as something that's easy, it's liquidable. You get access to it in 24 to 48 hours if you need it because it's in a particular fund. But make sure you put it into something that can give you better returns than just what a bank will give you. So that's first and foremost as far as the saving goes. If you have children and you're looking at trying to put some things in place, look at maybe starting a little college fund for your kids. There's 529 plans. There's, high grade cash accumulating insurance policies that we could always talk about in depth at a later point in time. But look at the options you have in front of you as far as what to do with your money for your kids. And then I think those are the two biggest I would look at, right? Make sure your bills are paid. Again, I feel like I shouldn't have to say that, but make sure your bills are paid. Look at your credit cards, and then look at that has high interest rates. Pay that down, because your interest rates that you pay on your credit cards kill you. They legitimately do. So if you're paying 20, 30% on your credit cards, do not pay minimums. So if you have the extra money, pay it off, right? So if you owe $1,000 on a credit card, it's 20% interest. Just take the $1,000, pay off your credit card. Now you've increased your credit, and you have that $1,000 on your credit card with more room than you had before. So, I would do that. And then as far as booster your savings, but look at, investments that can give you better returns than just a typical savings account, which gives you less than 1%.
Man, these are gems right here. Straight
Say it
gems.
louder for the people in the back.
This is something that's so important that was never taught to me as a kid.
Yeah.
That I just now I'm more well versed in it now, Robert. But I mean, this was just something that I wished I had when I was younger. Not that I got into debt or anything like that, but I could have saved so much more. I could have made my money work for me a lot more than I did. You know, there's a saying that says you don't get wealthy by saving. You don't.
You don't.
You really, really don't. And this is Robert just touched upon a few different ways of making your money work better for you, as far as interest bearing accounts, or not locking it up in certain CDs where you can't touch it into different accounts. So this is something that's so important. And Robert, thank you so much for giving that brief breakdown. That's a great way of starting this conversation.
Oh, and I would also add to your retirement, right? If you have a 401k, if you have a Roth, if you have something that you have in place that you're saving for your retirement, put that to your retirement. If you don't have something in place for your retirement, start, right? Because the best time to save was yesterday. The second time is now, because you can always make money. You can't get time back. So I like to tell people, when you're younger, you don't have to put a lot of money away because you have a lot of time on your side. But as you get older, now you need to put more money away because you have less time. So think about that. You know, time and money are very, they go together. So if you're younger, you'll need a lot of money because you have a lot of time. When you're older, you don't have a lot of time, so you need a lot of more money. So if you don't have retirement savings, start putting away for your retirement. If you have retirement savings, maybe start bolstering your retirement savings.
I'm really glad you mentioned that too, because the first thing you hear on the news is, go out and spend your stimulus checks to stimulate the economy so we can all be in a better position. But what you said was kind of just the reverse for people that, like, let's say don't have the extra funds to just spend it.
Right.
Like nothing,
And and I understand that we live in a society that's consumed. Like, we're consumer based. We spend. But that's the problem, though. We spend so much that now we don't have anything saved. And when you need your money, you don't have it anymore because you spent it. Because everybody told you need to go buy, some new shoes, or you need to go buy, whatever. And on a side note, my wife teased me because I don't really buy a lot of clothes. I really don't. She's like, we need, baby, I've seen pictures from you like a couple years ago. You had the same sweater. It's time we could spend some money for some new clothes. I'm like,
the wifey's roasting.
But I was like, but it still fits in a good shape. So that tells you, like, I don't need much. But again, like, if you need to go buy clothes, go buy clothes. But if you don't need to spend just to spend, I promise you, that sale you think you'll miss, they'll have again. They're just changing the name. It's not the last St. Patty's Day sale. We'll have another one. For whatever reason, there'll be another sale. Just be a little smarter. You don't have to spend it right away just because it's in your pocket. I know you feel like kids sometimes. We get money, want to spend it right away. Like my daughter, she gets money, and she wants to go buy it on, like, I want to go buy Sims. I want to do this. And then when it's gone, she's like, can I get some money for this? I'm like, didn't you just have $300 for your... Yeah, where'd it go? I don't know. I'm like, oh my goodness, kid. Like, you're making me feel bad right now. Like, it's someone who does money. You have no idea about money. I feel like I'm failing you right now.
Yeah, no doubt, I can totally relate. When I was younger, for sure, I was the first person wanting to spend that money that I earned on Jordans or something else that I really didn't need. Having 20 pairs of shoes or whatever else the case may be. Not that I don't have a lot of shoes still, but I'm not spending my last little bit like I was in the past. Hopping off the bus with the freshest pair of sneakers.
Right.
Back in the days, but we all learn and we evolve, but it's important that we do that and we have these conversations. So maybe some of the younger viewers can say, okay, maybe it may spark something in them to make them think about it a little different.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was trying to mention, and thank you for saying it that way. And somehow, like, as a kid, it's not that I was spending a lot, not that I was, like, running the Macy's card all the way up. It was just that I should have been doing different things with my money at that time. And I'm glad that you mentioned, Robert, retirement plans. Now, I know there's different kinds of ways to save for retirement. One of the most common ways is through IRA. So there's Roth IRAs and there's traditional IRAs. A lot of people don't know the difference because it's not, although it's one of the most common ways of setting aside some retirement money, At a younger age, people don't know exactly what it's all about or the differences. Could you please try to break down the differences?
Yeah, sure. So when we look at retirement, the biggest thing when I look at when I talk to people about retirement is your taxes, right? So no one thinks about that. They think about the deferred taxes, which is your traditional IRAs, regular IRAs. You're deferring your taxes to a later date. Yeah. And so if you haven't checked lately, we're trillions of dollars in debt. Taxes have been cut to the lowest level they've been to in years. Where do you think your taxes are going to go when you're older, right? Do you really think your taxes are the same now than when you're 65? No, your taxes will be probably higher, and you don't have the same tax breaks you had when you were younger because your house will be paid off. You don't have kids living with you anymore, so you're in a different tax bracket. So when you look at your retirement, look at your taxes you're going to pay on your money in the distribution. So the main difference between an IRA and a Roth is your Roth, you have tax-free distributions to yourself. So you're paying your taxes now. So you're saying, look, I'll pay taxes on the seeds. I like to say investments are seeds, right? So you're paying on the seeds, small little seeds, small little seeds, small little seeds. So you're not paying much on your taxes. But when you're older and you want your money, you have a huge, for example, apple tree. Now you can take as many apples you want to because you pay taxes already. So you think about that when you're doing your taxes get your taxes out the way now if you can, so that in the future you don't have to worry about your taxes anymore. And there's a lot of nuts and bolts to understand too with your Roth IRAs and regular IRAs, because you do have RMDs, which are your required minimum distributions. So you have to stay on top of that.
So you get penalized. The IRS will tax you
50% excess tax. So that means if you're supposed to take out $3,000, just throwing out numbers, don't quote me on how much you have to take out, but let's say you have to take out $3,000 for the year. If you didn't take out that $3,000, Uncle Sam will tax you 50% of the amount you're supposed to take out. So think about that. There are alternatives to just using just a traditional IRA, a Roth IRA, to give you a lot of great benefits. So you can have a tax-free growth with tax-free distributions. But again, you make sure when you're talking to somebody, they have to be licensed to offer to you. They have to be licensed to, explain you the nuts and bolts. Because like any investment product as you do, there's going to be downsides, there's upsides. And somebody needs to educate you first. So make sure you're getting the right education on it. Because I don't want to, for example, sell you a product or give you a product and you don't understand it. Because if you don't understand it, you're not going to know how to utilize it properly. So if I'm telling you put this money away for a long-term strategy, you come back and you say, can I use it in 5 years? No, you can't. The plan was for you to let this money get vested for at least 10 years and then let this grow because, again, time and compounding interest. So the idea is your retirement is to let that money grow and grow and grow and grow and grow untouched. So that when you want your money and need your money, you have a bigger bushel. And so sometimes those conversations with people, they don't fully understand when I talk about liquidity. So make sure you know what you're getting into. And when you lock your money up, you understand in some investments you're doing, even for retirement, you're locking it up for a while. And you're going to miss out on the benefits if you try and take the money out too soon. And you're going to get taxed. So if you have money in your IRA, a Roth IRA, you get taxed. If you touch it before 59 and a half, there's a 10% tax. And you pay a state tax and a federal tax. So almost just about 50% of the money you want to take from your money is taxed. So you have to ask yourself, if you're about to go spend money, don't you want to put money aside for your savings so you don't have to touch your 401ks, maybe your IRAs, your Roths. You don't touch your retirement money. You don't touch it now while you're young. You touch it when you're older and you need it. You need, again, time and compounding interest to make your money grow and work for you.
Now, with that being said, though, there's tons of different ways to keep your money as liquid and have it work for you as well. One being investments, and then you can also do the annuity route. So there's different ways of doing it, but I think are we touching all different kind of sort of financial planning, or do we just want to do? Or what would you like to talk about?
Well, it's up to you guys. We could touch on a whole litany of things, or we can just touch on specifics. Annuities are a great option, to be very honest with you. If a well-structured annuity can actually become a permanent pension for you.
Yeah.
So for some of the stuff that may be going over people's heads, maybe let them know a little bit more about annuities.
So backstory to a degree. Everybody knows about 401ks, but what people don't seem to understand is 401ks were never meant to be your retirement plan. They weren't. They were structured as a way to just as a supplement to pensions.
Pension plans.
Right? But companies found it's cheaper to give you a 401k because it gives them a lot of tax benefits. You don't get those tax benefits. The companies get those tax benefits. So 401ks were never designed, and they weren't meant to be this end-all be-all for your retirement. It's meant to be a pension. So that's where annuities come in at. Annuity structured properly, because there's different investments you can put inside of it. There's different strategies you can put inside of it, where it's an index strategy. There's different funds you can put the money in, and you let that grow. And while you're investing into this annuity, and there's various annuities, there's some that's just you do one lump sum, where you roll your money into it, you let it grow, and then you turn on a rider, which is called an income rider, right? So that it feeds you an X amount of dollars every year. And even if, for example, if your annuity runs out of money, as long as you're alive, that annuity will keep paying you out that amount of money because of how it's structured. Again, you have to make sure with these products you're talking to somebody and making sure they're structured how you want it to. You'd be surprised how many times myself, people in my business, we come across people who thought it was structured in a way to get them to their income, and it wasn't. It was structured in a way to the broker actually made more on the commission than, and they're like, well, I thought I was doing this. I'm like, no. And they're like, well, they said that it was. They said, no, it's giving you less than what you thought. Most of your premiums, what you're paying into, is paying for example, the insurance side of it, not the cash accumulating side of things. And so you have to make sure that when the people that you're dealing with, structure it the way it's in your interest, right? And if you're not sure how it's working, keep asking questions, right? If the person you're dealing with doesn't like the questions you're asking, don't deal with that person, right? They work for you. I want to remind people when you hire a planner, an advisor, they work for you, right? So make sure that whatever you're paying for, it fits your needs and the strategy that you want to get to.
So a quick question. What, in your opinion, would you say pensions are better than 401ks, and what has more benefits? Because it kind of sounds to me, when I hear 401k, when I hear pension, I think, oh, okay, it's the same thing basically, but what's better?
Are they even offering pensions anywhere? Because I know they're dying
really.
breed.
They do at my job, so
sure.
that's why I'm like, okay, pensions, but my friends tell me they have 401ks, so then I'm thinking, okay, it's the same thing, right? So,
well,
pensions
obviously are better because it's guaranteeing you money for as long as you live, right? Unions give you pensions. My father was an electrician. He was that for, God, let me see, 40 years? Something like that? I don't even know. I'm 41. My dad's in his 60s, so he's been doing it forever.
So he had a great pension.
He's got like 3 different pensions.
Yeah.
When you talk to different people, when unions, they might have 2 or 3 different pensions, and they have guaranteed money. Now, the one downside to pensions when it's related to, for example, unions and things like that, is still tied to the state you're in, right? So a state goes bankrupt, your pension shot, right? You'd be surprised how many times people think. I'm just saying, you'd be surprised how many times people think.
Not for me, no.
You would think that their pensions are safe, and when they go to retire, something happens to the company. There's restructuring. Funds may have been mismanaged, and what you thought you're going to have, you don't have anymore. It happens. 401ks. There's tax implications, and it is what it is. If you have $200,000 in your 401k, that's all you get. So when that's gone, it's gone. So there are pros and cons to everything. I'm just a firm believer in a diversification. So I just don't believe in, for example, you have a 401k. If your company matches you at 3%, don't overfund it. Just put 3% in, get the free money, and then find an alternative to make the other part of your money work better for you. So if you have a tax deferred product, or a tax deferred, where you're paying your taxes later, match it, be done, and then find something that gives you a tax advantage where you can pay your taxes now. Never have your money locked up into one thing. You want to have, tax advantage, tax deferred, your tax now. You want your money in different buckets, and you want to be able to access it when you need it most, right? So if you're putting things away, is too long, there's going to be penalties to it. So there's pros and cons to both. I hate to say one's better than the other. They both serve a purpose. It's just a matter of looking at what's inside the pension, look inside your 401k, and finding alternatives. Because I'm a firm believer in owning your money. So if you can find outside your company to where you can put your money at to get you good returns, to help you prepare for your retirement, do that. Because again, your 401k is owned by the company you're with. So if your company goes under, your 401k, you're not guaranteed your 401k. Yeah. So own your money. Make sure that wherever it's at, that you can control it and you can own your money.
So I know this kind of seems like it's a lot, right? But it's just an example of why you should be asking your questions and looking into it at a younger age. Like Robert said, the earlier you start, sort of, the less you have to worry about how much you have to put in to make your money work for you. So just sort of, and I'm sure he's just touching the tip of the iceberg, but that's just an example of all the things that you can do to financially structure your life and set up yourself for a fat, cushiony retirement.
Right.
Yep.
Because, look, man, when it comes to when we get older, right, when you retire, you want to retire.
Yes.
You don't want to be one of those people, and I'm not knocking it because I see it all the time. You don't want to be one of those people that retire and you ran out of money, right? So now you're working at Walmart. You're working in your 60s and your 70s because you ran out of money. That really pains my heart to see that, because you worked your entire life. You should be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You should not be at a point where you run out of money and you're forced to go get a job. Now, if you just get bored and you just want to pick up something to keep you busy, then by all means, man, go do that. But that's because you want to do it and you're just bored and just not doing nothing. Your retirement plan should not be, I retired and now I picked up another job to get me through what should be my retirement years.
So I hope the younger viewers are at home taking notes. And not only that, there's plenty of other resources to dig into. Like I said earlier, we're going to have all the links in the description to this series. We do have a comment from someone, Leslie. She's asking, what do you recommend for someone whose pension got taken away and only has now a 401k?
Well, one, I'm really sorry about that. One, I would look to see, is your money a legacy money where you can actually roll it over, right? So what I mean by that is, when I was talking about those annuities, if your money's eligible to take it and move it out, right? Move it out into an annuity, and make sure the person you're talking to that's moving into an annuity is structured properly, right? Because a well-structured annuity could give you what I like to call an index strategy. And for those who don't know what that is, an index strategy is, it mirrors the market. So when the market goes up, your money goes up. When the market goes down, it locks in your gains. You never take a loss, right? So that's a strategy you can put inside your annuity or different cash value life insurance policies. So if your money's eligible to move to something like that, where you can move it to an annuity to get the guarantees and protection, I would do that. But if you can't, then I would look at maybe looking at an advisor who can maybe actively manage your 401k. And those are options too. So what people don't know is there are functions within a 401k that if you have an advisor and it's eligible, you can actually have an advisor go in and actively manage your 401k. So that means they can do things in your 401k that you can't do because it's set as a passive investment for you. So you kind of set it and forget it. You have limited options within, your 401k, different funds. But an actively managed 401k, that advisor can go in and has a lot more options that can maybe give you better returns. But that'd be my suggestion. Look to see if you can move the money out into an annuity to give you better protection. And if not, then see if you can have it actively managed and see if an advisor would be willing to actively manage your 401k to get you better returns on your money.
Wow. And so keep those questions coming. We do have Robert here for another about 30 minutes, so keep the comments coming so we can ask Robert while he's here with us.
Yes.
So I know with the stimulus and everything, a lot of people were spending money before they even got it, right? They already had plans.
Yeah.
They have a trip
Oh,
planned.
you gotta bust me out like that.
I'm not looking at
I'm playing. I
They
did
gotta-
not.
I was looking at you, huh?
He was looking at me.
Is that a New Jersey?
That's,
No, just
the
kidding.
world would never know.
Fresh haircut, new glasses?
Man.
No, but people are spending money before they even get it. They have a trip plan, maybe new car, maybe new this, new that. So some people may think like financial advisor, that's not for me. I don't have that type of money where I need a financial advisor. What do you have? What type of advice do you have for those people who think this may be something that they're not ready to get into yet?
So, I understand that. There are options. I'm not going to toot my own home, but here I am. I actually do help people in their finances. I do complimentary advisory. I do complimentary service. I actually have one of my senior partners is licensed to do money management, and so, you don't necessarily pay him, but an advisor might say, look, if I actively manage your money, they might take a percentage of the assets that are in the account. So they might say, all right, throw out a number. I don't know which ones they charge or how much they may charge. They may say, look, man, 1% of the assets under management is what my fee is. That's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. So you're not necessarily paying them yourself. It's just paid out of the money they're helping you to manage. And it's in their best interest to increase their money because, well, the more money you make, the better they can do. So there are people who are fee-based. So, that's one thing to look at. They'll look at how much money you have as assets under management, and they just get paid a percentage of how much they're managing. So there's no exactly outright. And again, everybody's different, right? I don't want to blanket everybody and say there's none. There's some that have a fee, and there's some that are fee-based. So like, look, you might have to pay someone whatever their fee is. Like, all right, you want me to work with you? That's $500 up front, $1,000 up front, whatever the case is, plus maybe 1% of the assets I manage. So I don't want to speak on another person's pocket, and I don't want you to think that I know what everybody charges. Just understand that there are some that may charge you a flat rate, and there's some that may just charge you by a fee. You just have to do the research and look to kind of see who those are. There's also, and I'm not very well versed on some of the different apps that you can put your money into and actively manage yourself to look at. I know Robinhood and things like that, but if we're talking financial planning, I don't know too many different personal apps that you can do. I heard of Mint. I know certain people use Mint for their budgeting. I know there's a couple that probably help you look at your assets you can look at and track. But you just got to, unfortunately, I don't have that answer, like a direct answer, but you have to probably do the research to see which ones just offer a flat rate and some who may offer a fee, and then you just got to go from your gut. Like, do you have a good feeling about the person you're working with? Because, you got to make sure. And then I would also say, make sure the person you're working with is a fiduciary, right? There's a big difference between being an advisor and being a fiduciary. And what I mean by that is, if you're a fiduciary, that means they have a legal obligation to do what's best for you. Not everybody who says they're a fiduciary is a fiduciary because they don't have the license or the designation that states that they're a fiduciary. So if you're going to pick an advisor, make sure they're a fiduciary advisor. Make sure that the person you chose have a legal, ethical standard that everybody should have. But if they have that credential, that license, by law, they definitely have to do what's best for you. So make sure they have that designation if you're going to pick somebody to work with.
So yeah, fiduciary definitely is a main thing because it is legal binding is one thing that a lot of people don't know about. So the one thing that definitely I hadn't thought about in a very long time, Robert. So I'm glad that you definitely pointed that out to people. So they will, by obligation, have to look out for your best interest, also for their best interest.
Yep.
So Robert, can I throw you a scenario real quick?
Sure.
So I am 33. Let's just say I'm 33. I have money tied in a Roth IRA, and I have an annuity, and I have everything sort of set, and everything. I have just say I have a variable annuity, so things are working for me. They're working well. I have this stimulus check, and I have some money. I have this $1,400, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily feel obligated to contribute to any of my saving options. What can I do in regards to an investment? What would you suggest would be a good way of investing your money in any kind of stock exchange?
How about those people that say like send me 500, I'll turn it to 2,000.
Yes.
How about that?
You mean my cousin Thomas? Oh, yeah. I wouldn't recommend him.
Money transfer, money wire only.
You know, it's funny because in that scenario, and I come across a lot of people who they ask me, and I'll be very honest, I don't know certain things. Like if you ask about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, things that I don't know. So
Okay.
I'm not that person. I know I probably should read up on it just because of it is not going anywhere. And I am a person that if I am advising and doing things, I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about. I know it's the best. And if I don't know, then I'm definitely going to make sure that I could have somebody on in the conversation that can educate you on what that is. So when it comes to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, I know zero about transparency. I'm not that person. I know Bitcoin's not going anywhere. I know it's going great. You want to invest in Bitcoin. I hear it's doing well. It's not going anywhere. That's the best I can tell you about cryptocurrency. But as far as if I'm looking at you and, you know, we sat down, we're talking, and I actually did an analysis, because before I make a recommendation to people, I really do look at an analysis, right? Everybody thinks they're good, and then I come in and I look at things like, well, you know what? You're underinsured over here. You have gaps over here. Your retirement actually doesn't maybe get you money. So I actually look at everything, but if I came in and said, you know what? Boom, you're on point. So you want to put your $1,400 where? I'm a big fan of money. You know, you can put your money into EFTs, mutual funds. I'm not a stock picker, right? So if you're not one of those people that wants to really study the charts and pick stocks, I'm not a stock picker. And if I was, I would just tell somebody, you know, buy the basics. You know, you can buy Apple, you can buy Chevron, you can buy certain tech companies. You can never go wrong with energy. You know,
You'd be surprised. Cosmetics is another big one. That's usually stable.
You know,
So what about GameStop, AMC?
look, I still don't even understand how.
So,
like, I
yeah.
literally got into a debate about this with somebody. They're like, it's supply and demand. I'm like, but you gotta even know what you're buying. Like,
Yeah.
GameStop has a model that should just die. Right? I understand that, you know, everybody's like, no, I want to stick it to the hedge funds and the billionaires. I got it. I hate to break this to some of you guys. They're still going to make
They're
their
gonna
money.
win.
Because at the end of the day, when the stock comes down, and it's going to come down, guess what? They bet it was going to go down. They're still going to win. You didn't do
Yeah.
anything. You may have actually delayed a process. So when I look at stocks, I need for it to make sense, right? I need the valuation to make sense for what I'm paying for. And when GameStop jumped to where it jumped to, my thought was, how, right? The best it ever did, I think, was like $40 or something stupid. Like, and that was like 5 to 8 years ago. The best it ever did, and then all of a sudden it's rising up the way it did. And I was like, the value isn't there. And people would say, well, no, the consumers want to keep buying it. Well, just because you keep buying it doesn't mean the value's there. I mean, that just doesn't make sense. Like, if you look at what GameStop has been bleeding money for a while. And so I'm a person that if I'm going to start looking at stocks, I want to know that, one, it makes sense. Like, where you make your money from. So I was one of those people when Facebook, you know, had stock. I was trying to figure out, like, how's Facebook even make money? Like, how's the valuation? And then finally you understand, okay, this is advertising and it got it. But at one point it was like, how is Facebook making money? I don't understand the value of it. And so I'm one of those people that if I'm buying stock, I look at the history. If I know it's not going anywhere, I ride it out. You know, I'm not a buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. I'm not one of those people. I'm more like a Warren Buffett person. I buy, I ride it out. If it makes sense to buy more, then I buy more. I'm just not that person. You can always look at, I'm a big fan of EFTs and mutual funds because at least that gives you a bit of everything. So if you bought an international mutual fund, you can touch on the different international markets. If you bought an energy mutual fund or an energy EFT, it gives you all the big funds in there. It'll consistently recalibrate itself, so you don't have to worry about trying to track individual stocks. So that's where I'm a big fan of. EFTs, mutual funds. If you're going to buy stocks, make sure it makes sense. And I'm not a buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. I'm like, I buy it, I hold it, and just let that thing ride out. And if it doesn't make sense, then I let it go. You can't go wrong with commodities. You know, gold will always be there. Oil is a touchy one because, oil is dictated by not just currencies, but international and geopolitical environments. So Those are touchy. You'd be surprised. Alcohol stocks always do well. They do, because I mean, think about it. They're considered defensive stocks. I mean, when you're happy, you drink. When you're depressed, you drink. So no matter what, people are drinking. So I mean, stocks for alcohol always seem to do well. Like they're never going to really go out of style because when you're happy, you toast to it. When you're depressed, you go buy a bottle of your favorite, whatever.
I have a question for the parents out there, because you touched on, some of the parents getting.
You did get a 529 plan for your child, right? And your son or daughter gets a full plan strictly for education. So if they have a scholarship, they're going to take that money grows. I mean, I did a plan for a good friend of mine whose daughter is 7, Ash, and she's taking out like 8. That's just one stream that her daughter has. She's done nothing else with her life. So even if she has a bad 401k, does no more investing, her mom put things away so that by the time she's 25, this money grows. If she wants to touch the money, put money down for a house, she has it. She has a scholarship. It's there. She can, if she wants to take out student loans, she can take the cash that's in there to pay back the student loans. So I like an IUL, well structured, just because it gives you a lot more options than just a regular 529.
And you did mention, Robert, that you were a Warren Buffett fan.
Yes.
And Warren Buffett has a lot of his money tied up in insurance.
Yep.
So, Yenny Garcia, good friend of the show, good friend of ours, asks, what about life insurance policies? What are the best ones to get?
Well, it depends on. So when I do a plan for somebody, just so you guys understand, I do a pyramid investment to a degree. So I look at your retirement. So I put money away for retirement. I'm a fan of term LBs for a short term. So LBs are living benefits. And so that covers your chronic critical or terminal illness. So let's say you get sick, but you don't die. So let's say you got diagnosed with cancer. This policy will pay out and you're done. Let's say you had $1 million policy, you got diagnosed with cancer. They said, oh my God, you're not going to make it. They'll pay out your policy. Now you have $1 million to the good. If you had $1 million is given to you, I think you might be pretty good. I mean, I've actually seen there's someone in my business whose, brother got sick, diagnosed with cancer, cashed out their term policy. With his policy, he paid off his sister's house because his sister had to take off work to take care of him, took care of the family. A 360. Why? If you're not worried about money, if you're not worried about paying your bills, you can just focus in on getting healthy. So you can do a term LB if you're young. It's really cheap. I mean, I have $1 million term policy. I'm 41. I got it when I was 38. I pay $100 a month for $1 million of coverage for 30 years. My family's taken care of. On top of that, I have an index universal life insurance policy for cash accumulation, right? So this way, it's a permanent policy. I'm permanently protected for, my policy's like $500,000, I think it is. And the way I have it structured is it grows. So all the money I put in there, my death benefit grows, my cash accumulation grows. So when I get older and I go into retirement, I have enough money I already know set up and structured to what I have to draw on as an extra source of income for tax-free retirement. And in the event something happens to me, my family's taken care of. So I'm a firm believer you should have a permanent policy that makes sense for you. An IUL sometimes doesn't make sense for everybody. Maybe you would want a whole life. Again, I'm not here to tell you which one's the best for you. I'm here to give you options, look at what makes sense for your budget, what you're trying to do, and then give you the solution to that particular problem. But you should definitely have a permanent policy and then have a term policy, because the term policy can, I like to call, income emergency in case you get sick. And some will be chronic where you're not going to die, but you can't work, and you submit the claim. It can pay up to 24% of the value to you until you get better. And then the good thing about it is, all right, your death benefit went down. That means your premium's going to go down because you don't have as much in coverage, but you did have that income to take care of while you couldn't work because you were sick. So a term LB with living benefits is a good starter because it's cheap, and then get a permanent policy, a whole life, an IUL, a variable. It's just a matter of which one makes sense for what you want to do. I don't want to sit there and say which one's the best for you because I don't know your scenario. but that's how I look at it. That's how I would address it if you and I were talking face to face about what I should do for my insurance policies.
Wow, and that great information. I'm loving all the comments and stuff that we have. We have someone named Melanin King. He asked, do you recommend someone with limited means still seek the counsel of an advisor? We kind of touched on that earlier.
Yes.
But how limited of means are we talking about here?
Well, I mean, there again, you know, I will give my information. I do actually free complimentary service. So I do sit down with people. I will first educate you on money. We'll have a legit conversation about things, and then I will sit down and do an assessment of where you're at, where you want to go, and then from there it's a conversation of, okay, well, how much can you put away, right? What little bit do you have? Okay, you have, let's say, $500 a month to put away, or $200 a month. All right, fine. Well, let's look what we can do to $200. Right? I meet you where you're at. But if you can't, you know, if you don't want to talk to me, there are various, you know, sites and robo advisors that you can kind of sign up for to get advice. But those are robo advisors when we run off algorithms. Not saying they're not good or bad, but it's not gonna. I mean, if there's scenarios that's not there listed, you can't ask. So by all means, you know, my information as far as my social media, my email address, my business number, I'll be giving to you guys so that if you want it, they'll have it, and just reach out to me. You know, it's a complimentary service. I really want to give back to the community, just because I really feel that we are underserved. You know, people don't come into our neighborhoods and our communities just to give education, right? It doesn't hurt me to give you education. I mean, nothing. If you can't pay me because I gave you education, at least you're now informed. At least you have, you know, a plan, and I can help you design a plan. And when you're ready to make a move and you're ready to actually pay for those plans, then that's a conversation you're not going to have at a later point in time. But get the information, get a plan, and then we can talk money and finances and how to take care of it at a later point in time. But get the information first.
Yeah, and I know people have trust issues a lot of times when it comes to their money and how they handle money, whether they were traumatized, you know, in their own experience in the past, by maybe even by family or friends.
Maybe they heard bad stories some way, somehow.
Yeah, so it's hard. It's a hard thing for someone to trust someone else with their money. But we're almost out of time here, and there's one thing that we were talking about. Usually we meet with our guests in advance to having them on the show, and so we were talking a little bit about this book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
One of my favorite books. I know you mentioned it.
I love it. In fact, next week, I'll be going over the 13 principles of Think and Grow Rich as part of the Money Mindset series at COVID. So next Friday, we'll put the link in there when I give you. It's free, and I'll be going over the 13 principles and what that means to building that wealth, right? Because I really do believe when you want to build that generational wealth, it's a mindset. Right, and everybody feels and understands trust issues and with money and not wanting to talk to somebody, but at the same time, if you don't know, then you don't know, right? You can't get ahead if somebody doesn't at least give you a book to read, right? You may not want to talk to somebody. Okay, got it. You know, but maybe I can refer you to a couple books. Like, look, you know, you don't want to talk to me, you don't trust me. Got it. Here's an email. Here's like 5 books you can probably read on insurance, on wealth, on taxes. To make your own decision and figure some things on your own. If you felt the value that I gave you, just using this example, then we can talk. But get the information, right? And I want to shift that mindset from people from the lack to abundance, because it starts there. I mean, if I gave you $1 million but didn't show you how, and I just gave you $1 million, you'll blow it because you don't know what to do with it. But if I educate you, if I shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance, and I give you the tools you need to reprogram your subconscious about money, your relationship with money, what to do with the money, you'll make that $1 million grow, right? Because now you know what to do with it. You're not a child playing with it. And that's really what I want to do. I want to help shift that subconscious mindset, use the tools that, I mean, hey man, if some of the richest people in the world read Think and Grow Rich and all these different books, and they all say it's all in your subconscious, it's a mindset, it's a mentality. It's, thinking from scarcity to abundance. Hey, man, if billionaires can do it, and I'm not talking about those who inherited money, but, high school dropouts who were immigrants who built crazy conglomerates, they're now billionaires. I don't know about you, but I'm going to follow success, right?
I'm definitely listening. Listen to what you're saying. And one thing that I do want to tie in with what Melanin King said is that I get where he's coming from, because a lot of times you feel like you don't have enough to think about these questions, and it can seem very foreign to different people to people that are hearing this kind of stuff. But remember, Robert's been doing this. He gave us this tracker. He's doing it for a long time. So having questions is just a beginning, and don't be afraid to ask them. That's why you find good people like Robert out there trying to help the community out, and he's giving you guys some resources to try to figure out where to go. He's giving you options. He's not telling you what's the best. He's played it a few times. He's just giving you the options, and at that point you'd have to figure out what's best for you. So. And
just real quick, I'm excited because probably in June, there's a lot going on in April. I have a baby on the way in May, so probably in June I'll be actually rolling out a advanced financial planning software that I'll be utilizing.
Nice.
That will also come with an app. So, when I start working with my clients, I can really get down into the nitty gritty. And so I'm excited about using the software. I'm really excited about using this platform so that it's not just me saying, oh, well, here's a retirement. No, I can, and I was playing around with it and I'm figuring it out. Like, it legitimately will sit there and calculate your Medicare, right? Medi-Cal. It starts showing your whole income stream, what it looks like. And then I'll be giving people an app where they can actually track the plan we put in place, right? It even shows a scenario of the success rate of what I'm telling you and what we do if you stick to it. And so I'm excited to be able to roll out this extra feature around June for existing clients and then new clients. So if you're working now with me and come June, I'm let you, hey, Melon, guess what, man? The software's in place. Let's sit back down again. Let's rerun some numbers where I can really, 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 really dig into the nitty gritty that I couldn't do in my original software. Let's get to the nitty gritty. Let's really give you that A to Z plan for your life. And then let me give you this app so you can track your budget. Because I like to say to financial freedom, man, and financial wealth, there's a pyramid, right? Your base is your credit, your debt, and a budget, right? So if you don't have those three things down solid, everything's going to fail. And then right above that, it's your life insurance, right? People, it's not a sexy thing to talk about, but you need it, right? It's not for you, it's for your loved ones, right? That's all it is if you love your loved ones, you leave insurance so that this way you can leave a legacy, not a liability for your loved ones. Then right above that is your investment strategies, your retirement strategies, and then after that's the investment strategies.
So I have a really quick question before we leave. Mm-hmm. So going back to what Anselmo was talking about with trust issues, I guess people have with governments and with banks and just with people in general. There's a lot of people that have a tendency to save cash. I hear good things about it. I hear bad things about it. What are your takes on having saving cash at your house? What would you say?
In the mattress.
Yeah, in the mattress. Yeah. I hear good things and bad things. Yeah.
And it's true. Well, all right, D-Wood Chewy over there.
Well, what's funny is I had talked to a lady not too long ago. Uh-huh. I was helping her with a plan, and she was telling me what she was earning in her money. I was like, "You're almost there, leaving your mattress. Like, you're earning less than 1%. Like, oh my god. Like, I was actually a little upset about that. I started getting passionate, started raising my voice. Like, well, sorry, let me bring that down. She got a little like, "Oh, you okay?" I'm like, "No, you're about to retire. You're only earning less than 1%. Oh my god, who the person who did this? I can punch him in their throat." But no, I mean, you should have cash, right? There is something good about having cash on hand. For emergencies. Sometimes you need emergency cash. I'm not a fan of leaving a lot of money in your house because if it gets robbed and you had your whole life savings under the mattress, I hate to say this, but that was just on you for being stupid. I don't know what to tell you, man. If you left all your money you ever earned under a mattress, that's just not wise. I understand trust issues, but that's just not wise because someone's going to figure it out. And when they do, Yeah, there's your life savings. So there's a mix in where, you know, you put money obviously in the bank for liquidity purposes, and there's another aspect to where maybe you have a safe in your house. A small little safe is under the bed, somewhere that no one thinks about. And, you know, that's where you might keep your passports, extra things. And you're like, look, man, I keep an extra $500 cash or something really small. I'm not saying leave $10,000 in cash. That's absurd. But if you have like $500 in cash, that's not overly unheard of, because sometimes things come up. You know, emergencies pop up. Sometimes you're like, look, man, it's late. I want to go to ATM. Let me just go to the safe real quick, grab X amount of dollars, and be done. I know my parents growing up, they used to keep, you know, small bills in the house, just kind of just, you know, just, okay, I got to run out real quick. Boom, here you go. So you don't have to keep using your ATM card. Just small. There's nothing wrong with that. Just don't leave everything you own under the mattress, because then you're not even earning anything. You didn't even keep up with inflation. You didn't. I mean, heck, if you earn less than 1% in the bank, it's still better than it's under the mattress earning nothing. I mean, that'd be my advice. Keep a little bit of money. So I think $500. Again, it's your own judgment. I think $500 would be a good little play with money. Keep there for cash, and then the rest put in the bank, put in the savings, put it someplace that's safe. Understand not trusting banks because of 2008. Understand trust issues, but you can't allow your fear to really kind of overcloud good judgment.
I think Pablo Escobar had a room full
Right.
of money, Chewy.
Yep.
And I think
Rats start to eat too.
rats ate like millions of dollars. So it's just a small example of what can happen.
But again, he did work in a cash business, so it wasn't like, you know, he was
That's an exception.
accepting
I guess.
Stripe or PayPal.
All right. So now we've reached to the pinnacle, not the pinnacle, the ending of the show itself. Thank you once again, Robert, for joining us. A lot of different information there for you guys to go back and reanalyze. Robert will give us his information so that we can have it in the description so that you guys can reach out to him when he's having a bunch of stuff coming up. So if you're into anything that he just said, which I believe you should be, you should holler at him. This is the portion of the show that we give our shout outs. We're going to start from the right. We're going to go on to the left. We're going to start with that handsome devil over there, Zelma. Have any shout outs for tonight?
Yes, so man, first of all, thank you, Robert, for joining us, man. I felt like we could have talked another hour or two and really got into some of the deeper theories and concepts. We touched the surface. That's a good thing. Hopefully, like I said earlier, we may have sparked the interest of some viewers for them to dig in a little bit more on their own or participate and listen into some of Robert's or other resources all over the internet. They can find something, a book, anything. But I do want to give a couple shout outs. Other than that, lady who handles all of the social media stuff that we do. She's been doing an amazing job. Got to make sure we shout her out. Rocket Killed. And then, of course, our fiscal sponsor, Urban Tilth. Got to thank them. Appreciate them. The City of Richmond, the ECIA grant that we received. Thank you for that. And then I'm going to pass it on to Diana. I don't want to steal all the shout outs.
No, it's all good. Shout out, first of all, to one of my best friends. Happy birthday to you. Shout out to our listeners. Shout out to our guests. The people that are behind the scenes too, just making sure everything worked. Chewy, us. That's it so far.
Cool. I want to give a shout out to Robert. Obviously, can I call you Roberto? To Roberto.
There you go, it's fine.
for all the Latin community tuning in. And I also want to give a shout out to the ones who faithfully watch us every week. For those who are new, welcome. Please don't forget to subscribe, share, and hopefully learn something new today. Robert, do you have any shout outs that you want to give out?
Once again, shout out to my homeboy Damus. Happy birthday, man. Miss you, love you guys. My happy birthday to my sister Tia. Love you, man. I can't wait to have you guys out to see the baby coming in May. And shout out to my wife for always holding me down and keeping structure, and to my business partners who, you know, allow me to be able to do what I need to do when I'm away, and I take time away and they hold things down in the shop, and I appreciate from my business partners, my mentors, and above all, like I said, my wife, man. Without my wife, man, this does not exist.
Very well said. Very well said. All right, you guys. Thank you once again. Love y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Leslie, let's go ahead and hit those outros.